A bit about our next meeting. If you got our newsletter, you saw that we are featuring Raleigh Dunley, the AV Barbecue King. There's a park in Lancaster named for Raleigh, and we are not only having his granddaughter come and talk about her grandfather, but we are having his grandson, who's also named Raleigh, prepare a meal for us, and we are going to be eating here in the library since the time will have changed and it will get dark early. So we are going to be eating here in the library. I've already cleared it. We can get in early. We're going to plan on eating here at 4:30, and then following that we will have the talk by Ina, Raleigh Dunley's granddaughter, about her grandfather. So we're really excited. And if you are a member, you get a free meal. You just have to sign up. And Janet is over there taking your name. If you are not a member and would like to come, it's $25. $20. I'm sorry, $20.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're excited about this. We
And I'll
hope.
take the money if they're not a member.
Okay, we are. We hope this is going to be really, really fun, because for many, many, many years, Raleigh Dunley, ran cattle. He had lots of land up at Oak Creek, ran cattle all through the valley. Was just a larger than life individual, I think. So it's going to be fun to hear from his grandchildren. All right, another thing I need to say to everybody, the Historical Society, me, is getting a little older and running out of energy, and so we're not going to, or I'm not going to be at the Old Timers Barbecue with a table Sunday. Just wanted you all to know. It's just, there's only so much I can handle. So for the first time in some years, we're not going to have a presence at the Old Timers Barbecue. But the Old Timers Barbecue is on Sunday. And you're also going to get the same kind of barbecue that Raleigh Dunley made famous. Siobhan, our program chairman, has had some family things. And so she's not going to be here to introduce our speaker. But I think it's time, since we have to be out of here by 7. I think it's time to start. So I am going to officially start this meeting, and I am delighted to introduce our first speaker, who is Bobby Breach, who, if you saw in the newsletter, was in the military and participated in the evacuation of, was it Saigon?
South Vietnam.
South Vietnam, back in the day when they were evacuating the troops. And it was an amazing experience. So with no further ado, we have to mic him so that he...
He's here, he's ready.
Okay, is he all mic'd? Is he mic'd, or does he need this?
I'm Mike.
You're mic'd? Okay.
Bobby.
You're Bob. How about this? Because
Okay. I don't really need this, but I'll just kind of.
talk into it. 'Cause
I know,
we're
but I can-
older, and
okay.
We don't all hear as well.
Move over there.
Get behind.
Yeah, and you need to be over here, yeah.
There we go.
So I do have a pretty big mouth. I can't talk, so.
I'm Bobby Breach. I was in the United States Navy. Well, let me tell you a little story. It's a little fun story, just because of where we are. Okay? Hi, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
When I graduated high school, I wanted to go into the service. And so I was thinking of going into the Air Force. And my grandfather, let me give you a little history of my grandfather. He was a 24-year retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. And he told me, if you go, I'm going to kill you. And I said, why? And he says, because you want to see the world. And he says, with your luck, you'll get Edwards Air Force Base. So that's just a little funny thing. So anyway, I did join the Navy, and my first day of boot camp was the 7th of February, 73. And I was a hull tech damage control, but basically the firefighter of the ship. And I got on the USS Mount Vernon. It's a LSD-39 landing ship dock. And it was a big ship that it would ballast down, the aft would go down, and it would ballast down, and then it had Mike 8 boats on it, to where they put Marines on it. And then when the bilge filled up, the boats would go out and the Marines would go to shore. And so that's basically what the ship was. So we were stationed for about 1.5 years in Olongapo, the Philippines, and Vietnam was still going, just about the end, because that was when they were doing all the negotiations to stop it. And so finally, in April of 75, we had to go over there because they started the evacuation of South Vietnam. That's when the fun began. I didn't really know what we were getting into, but we left Subic and we were floating around off the coast of Saigon for weeks. And then the day came where all of a sudden, excuse my French, but all hell broke loose. Helicopters started landing on our flight deck. Now, our ship only supposed to hold one, okay? One came in and hit the corner of it, and they called flight quarters. And I'm right in the ship fitter carpenter shop, so I just shot right down. I was one of the first ones out there for the fire party, because I had to be part of the fire party. And this South Vietnamese guy gets out, grabs a 45, has a 45 in his hand. I'm about from here to where Bob Alvis is sitting, and he shoots it at me. She shoves it right there, and it lands right between my legs. And our sergeant at arms, chief, checked me and threw me against the thing. He goes, "You could have been killed. That could have been a bomb." And I just looked at him and go, I'm 21 years old, I just said, okay, what can I do about it? This is war, right? And so he had his hands up, and then he walked up, and then the guy who was in that, well, the helicopter was Vice President Key's helicopter of South Vietnam. He was later then taken over to let me look at my note here, the name of the ship. Let me tell you the name of the operation. The name of the operation was Operation Frequent Wind. Okay? It had consisted of 24 ships off the coast of Vietnam. Okay, I didn't write it down. Oh God, what's the name of the ship? Anyway, it was Vice President Key, and then these other helicopters were coming down on board the deck. Well, we didn't know what are we going to do. Now, and there's boat people. Did you remember the boat people? Did you ever hear about that? Okay, there are people in boats. I mean, packed with boats. Trying to climb aboard, they can't get up there. It's too high. But so we had to build, the trains and all that stuff, because we put them in the bilge in the bottom, and the helicopters keep flying in, and so we would push the helicopters off into the ocean, and so now they have a nice little place for the fish to live and all that stuff. There's one helicopter that we left on the deck, and that was the one that was flown in by Key. And The difference between the helicopter that we pushed over and his, he had little embroidered white doilies over the back of the seat. That was the only difference. Only difference. So anyway, it just kept coming and coming. And we were up for about 15, 18, 20 something hours or 24. And you are like ready to die. You just, like this. Then all of a sudden, it happened to where you're awake. That was 3 days. 3 days and no sleep. Finally, after everything subsided and all the boat people were taken care of or turned away, and we had probably about 400 or 500 on board our ship, and then we took them over to Subic Bay in the Philippines. But they finally said, you can go to sleep now. We're heading to Subic Bay. We're all, yeah, we can do that. I get in my bunk, everybody else gets in their bunk, and you're like this. For 6 to 8 hours, the body it took to knock down and go to sleep. We were out for 4 hours, and we woke up just, hey, you guys want to play baseball or something? We had a baseball diamond, on that. But it's weird how the body works that way on everything. But my experience, and that was basically my experience, the evacuation of South Vietnam. Any questions with anything, or that's it? Basically. Thank you for letting me share it. Happened, so.
We appreciate you telling how those Vietnamese.
Oh, one more thing. I just to add real quick. Vice President, he was shipped to California, and he died owning a liquor store in Westminster, California. Yes. Yes.
It's going to take us just a few minutes because we now have a computer with a hookup that we can project onto the screen. And there are some wonderful snacks up here. Thank you to Shar for making homemade yummies.
We need to have you do this. That's what you have on your. I can wear it if you don't mind. White stuff, sure doesn't show up. Now it's on. All right, so let me introduce you and I will hand this to you.
All right, I think we are ready. And again, we have another speaker that is going along with our military theme for the month. And this is Rose Slepka, who is responsible for the dog tags for kids. Correct? Okay. And she has, we're able now finally, thanks to Siobhan and Julian for getting the hookup to have some pictures. So Rose, I'm going to turn this over to you.
I'm just talking to the top of it. Hi, I was asked to explain to you about the new display that they have at the Antelope Valley Rural Museum, which is the Faces of the Fallen, and to explain how it came to be. Back when Iraq and Afghanistan, well, actually before that, my brother was in Desert Storm, and the only thing he ever asked for was for me to send him Mother's Day card, because he didn't have access to get one. And up until that point, I never really thought about how hard it is, you know, in a war zone to get what you need. You're just so used to going down to the store. So I went to the store, to the Hallmark store. I made them open up their cabinets a couple months early to get out the Mother's Day cards. I bought like 3 or 4 Mother's Day cards. I sent them to him. I told him, pick which one you want, and then give the rest to your friends. So when Iraq and Afghanistan started, I thought, what can we send to the troops so that they'll have something to send home, because I knew how important it was. And one day I heard a story about a guy who sent his kids a package from Iraq. The kids were so excited to get something from Dad. And the only thing in the box when they opened it were some Band-Aids and some sunscreen, because that's all he had access to. But they didn't care, it came from Dad, so it was important. So when I heard that story, I kept thinking, okay, what can we do? What can we do that's going to be easy? So I came up with the idea of dog tags for kids. I had some dog tags in the shop, colored different dog tags, and I decided to engrave on them with love from Dad or Mom, U.S. Army, Air Force, whatever, and the country that they were in the year. And so Dog Tags for Kids was born. We started making them in different colors. We used green for Army, red for Marines, blue for our Air Force and Navy. And I started looking for addresses of people in Iraq and Afghanistan, or mostly Iraq back then, and mailed them packages of them. We bagged all of them in little bags like this that were sealed so that the chain didn't scratch the tag, and we would mail them out, tell them to give them out to whoever wanted them. It was easy for them to put this into an envelope and send it back to their kids. So we weren't a nonprofit or anything at that point. I just asked friends if they were in, and they said yes, and they gave me money, and we bought the stuff and started doing it. We started out working with one of the Rotary clubs, helped us for a while. And then Ron Emard from Harley came in one day for something for Thunder on the Lot. And we started talking, and he let me work under the kids' charities of the Antelope Valley. So that way I didn't have to start my own nonprofit. So we had volunteers who came in. I would engrave the tags. They would bag them, seal them, take them home, bag them and seal them and bring them back, whichever worked for them. And we just kept sending out tags. And then one day, I got a phone call from somebody who said that they had a friend who was in Kuwait, and his son was so mad at him because he left. He was 6. He refused to talk to him when he would call home. So they wanted to know if we would send some tags. So we sent some tags. And when I actually talked to the guy later, I asked him, the guy that was deployed, I said, how did you hear about our project? And he said, oh, I read about it in the AV Press online. I said, well, what are you doing reading the AV Press online and from Kuwait? He said, oh, I'm from Palmdale. So it turned out that he was a Palmdale sailor who left, and his son Christian would not talk to him. When he got the tags, he sent the tags back to his 2 sons, and his son opened the tag, put it on, and that night when he went to bed, he kissed it and he said, good night, Dad. The next time his dad called, he talked to him. And I just thought, you know, every kid of a soldier or a military member wants their own dog tags. You know, they're always playing with the dog tags. So this was perfect. So we did that for 14 years. We ended up sending over 840,000 tags to the troops to send home to their kids. During that time, it was mostly all taken care of by the Antelope Valley as far as the donations. We did fundraising. We were at the fair every year. They gave us a free spot there. We did every kind of fundraising you could think of. We had yard sales. You name it, we did it. It only cost us 50 cents a piece at the time, because all we paid for was the bag, the tag, and the chain. So during that time, the second guy from the Antelope Valley was killed in Iraq, which was Christopher Leon. So a friend of his mom's was somebody that I knew, and he came in the shop and he asked me if I had any, because I had first place awards. He asked me if I had any Marine Corps flags, and so I gave him a Marine Corps flag, and he said, yeah, I just live down the street from Chris's mom. So I said, can you get me a picture? And he went back, he got a picture, he brought it back. I took the picture and I made a photo tag, and that's when the photo tags began. We did a photo tag with Christopher's information on the back. He took it back to Chris's mom. We made as many as she wanted, and then we started giving them to the Patriot Guard when they would go to funerals in Southern California. And we would make 12 for each family, and they would give them to the family at the service. So after a while, the tags got pretty important to people, and we started making them for as many people, families that we could as the KIAs happened. But I was still a one-person shop. I was trying to do the dog tags for kids. I was trying to do this. So we kind of put that on the back burner and kept doing the dog tags for kids project because that was our main project. So after 14 years, we quit doing the dog tags for kids project because things were winding down, and I was overwhelmed. I just didn't have any more time, and I was getting ready to close my shop. So at that point, we decided we were going to make photo tags for the rest of the people around the country who never got them. So we went back, we pulled up all the names. My cousin in Michigan did all of the paperwork, all the correspondence. She took care of finding addresses, pictures, all the information. She would send it to me, and then I would send the tags out. So while I was making the tags, I made 3 extra tags over the 12. And I kept one for me. I gave one set to the Northwood Gratitude Memorial, which is in Irvine, California. If you've never been there, it's a beautiful wall-like memorial. And then one I sent to my cousin in Michigan, which she was going to give to the Michigan Patriot Guard or some group over in Michigan. But when I quit the shop, I thought, what am I going to do with all these tags? I had over 7,000 tags. So when I heard that the museum was going to build a new building, I thought this would be perfect. I wanted to display them where they'd be honored, where they were in the presence of people who supported the program and actually made the program happen. And I thought the museum in the Antelope Valley was the perfect place. So when I contacted them, they said yes. They gave me a spot in the corner. It turned out it was a little smaller than what we needed, so we had to stagger the size, the length of the chain so that some are up higher and it's hard to see. And there's, I think, 7,219 tags that were hung. When we hung them, we had to, there's a grate up on top with little squares. And so I took a pickle fork. I didn't even know what the pickle fork was. I found it in the toolbox. And we threaded each chain up and over, came down, and then hung the tag in a specific direction that we wanted it to be. All the tags are identified with a grid system, and there's a thing underneath that tells you where to go. We're in the process of computerizing so that you can look up the name and then find out exactly where the person is. So I forgot to show you pictures of the other things. It's not working. Maybe I'm too far? No? Well, then, okay. So this was the original Dog Tags for Kids project. That's Christian down there on the right-hand side with the white shirt. He's the one that would talk to his dad. That's Major Sell. He's from the Antelope Valley. And those are the tags that we sent. All the different colors, the different branches. And they were all free to the troops. That's Christopher Leon, who was our first tag that we ever did. And you can see her wearing her tag. Her son was buried on the 4th of July at Riverside National Cemetery. And you can see him holding his tag. I always felt like it was something that people had that they could hang on to, especially when they left the cemetery. And I have hundreds of thank you cards and letters from people who got both kinds of tags, but I still have them all. You got pictures from people with their kids and what those tags meant, and it's good love tags, and it's great. And then you do know the photo tags. So if you do go to the Old Timers barbecue, and you go back to the museum, when you go in, they're straight back in the corner. We're still working on the lighting. We're still working on a sign in the back explaining exactly what it is. But I thought that was the perfect place, and it's pretty amazing. I saw people, when I was there at the fair, there was a guy who said that he was looking for John Allen from Palmdale. He said, I went to high school with him, and he couldn't find his tag. And so I helped him find the tag, and he was so overwhelmed, it was unbelievable. I mean, another guy the other day, or a couple weeks ago at the fair was, he knew 4 guys that were killed during 4 different deployments. And each time he found one, he said, "Thank you so much. I'm not the only one that remembers them." So I'm just so happy and so appreciative of the museum in the Antelope Valley for backing the project, for giving it a place of honor that will always be there, and a place where families and friends of these guys and girls can go and actually know that somebody does care and somebody paid attention that they're gone. So let's see, I also did some photo tags of the World War II photo tags. Come out really good. I know you can't see it, but I can pass it around if you like. That was my father's. He was the first photo tag I ever did to put over his flag from his funeral. And then every once in a while, if there's a local law enforcement person who's killed, then I try to do tags for them, and then they use that money to raise for projects and things. When Sergeant Steve Owen was killed, we did 2,750 photo tags. And they used all that. What Ron Emar did was he found people to subsidize the amount of the cost of the materials, and then they took those tags out, had people make donations, and they donated all that money to Steve's charities that he liked. So it worked out really well. So if you go to the museum and you want a regular dog tag, they do have a machine there now that was donated by Antelope Valley Harley Davidson, and you can get your own dog tags punched out, and the money stays at the museum. So I don't know if anybody's got any other questions. I think that's the last one. Oh. Yeah. Oops. Turned off my phone. It's time for the auction. So those are the tags. We tried taking different pictures from different angles. And that's all the pictures I have for now. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about, the museum's open twice a month. If you ever want to go, it's on Saturdays from 10 to 2, first and third Saturday of the month. And it's always free to go in and see all the other exhibits as well, but this is one of the ones I worked on. So thank you.
Thank you. It is really an amazing sight if you haven't been. Oops, I'm being told to move over. Anyway, it is an amazing sight, and so you should, if you can, get a chance to go. I think the 2 people who took their time to come and talk to us, we appreciate it. I'm sorry Siobhan wasn't here. I'm hoping things are hanging in with her dad. But I'm glad you all came. And I hope to see all of you next month. We're going to eat at 4:30. So I hope you have already signed up.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you for coming. We're going to end early, but that's easier for me since it's not going to be dark outside when we leave. So thank you all for coming.